Open your book to page 311. This is lesson 11.3, and this is on factoring the difference of two squares. So before, we learned about the conjugates, right? So when you have a plus b, a minus b, this is called a conjugate. Okay? And two of them is conjugates. And when you multiply, remember we did this, right? The middle is going to get canceled out. So when you multiply conjugate, you're just going to multiply the corresponding part, right? So this is equal to a squared minus b squared. Okay? So this is called the difference of square. So difference of squares. Difference means subtraction. So difference of squares means you have square minus square. So whenever you have square minus square, you can go back and factor into conjugates. Okay? So whenever you have, when you have two terms, right? Special factor, when you have two terms, like this one over here, two terms, right? When you have square minus square, two terms, you want to check see if they're conjugates. Okay? So again, like this one over here, you can factor into these. Okay? So difference of square factor into conjugates. So let's go and do some examples. So example 1, x squared minus 4. So you can go through the checklist. So step 1, common factor. Can you factor the number? No, there's no number for you to factor out. Okay? And you cannot do the variable because there's no variable over here. So that's your step 1, common factor. They don't have anything in common. So you go through the step 1, you go to step 2. Two terms. Two terms you check for difference of square. So this is a square, this is a square, right? 4 is a 2 square. So you have x squared minus 2 squared. So you know that this is step 2a, so you can get your two sets of parentheses. And when you do that, always put a plus first, then and the minus. So put a plus and a minus over here. And the reason you do that is so that later on you might have to repeat this like 2 or 3 times. So it's always a good idea to put a plus first. Okay. So from here we know that this is going to break into conjugates. Okay. So or you can think backward, right? So x times x, right? X times x will give you x squared. Plus times minus give you minus, and 2 times 2 will give you 4. And so that's your answer. Okay. For example 1. Let's go to example 2. So you have to kind of able to recognize what type of this the problem is. So example 2, you have 25x squared minus 9y squared. So step 1, again, make sure you go through the checklist. Step 1, common factor. So you look over here. So do the number. Can you factor the number? No. Can you factor the variable? No. Because you cannot do the x because there's no x over here. You cannot do the y because there's no y over here. So step 1 cannot. So you go to step 2. Two terms, check for difference of square. Yeah, this is a square, right? This is a 5 square. This is the x square. This is the 3 square. This is the y square. So everything's all square. Everything's all square. So when you have square minus square, that is your conjugates, right? Okay, you need to bring the conjugate. And again, the way to do that is very simple, right? For conjugates, this came from the corresponding part, right? So get 25, you get 5 and 5, right? 5 times 5 give you 25. X and x give you x squared. Plus times minus give you minus. 3 times 3 give you 9. And y times y give you y squared, right? Again, you check, right? So 5 times 5 is 25. X times x is x squared. Plus times minus is minus. 3 times 3 is 9. Y times y is y squared. Okay. So when you have difference of square, you factor into conjugates. Okay, let's go to example 3. Example 3 on page 312. So you're factoring 49 a to the 6 minus 81 b to the 4. Okay, so again, step 1, common factor, the numbers. This only can divisible by 7 and this divisible by 9, so they don't have anything in common. So you go down the alphabet. Okay, you cannot factor the a because there's no a over here. You cannot factor the b because there's no b over here. So step 1 cannot. So you go to step 2. 2 terms, check for the perfect square. So this is 7 squared. Again, this is a perfect square, right? Because every time when you have an even exponent, it's a perfect square. This is the square of the a cube. A cube square will give you that. This one will be square of the b square. Okay. So this is going to be the step 2a, the difference of square. So you're going to factor into conjugates. Again, to do the conjugate, all you have to do is figure out what square will give you that, right? So 7. So 7 times 7 give you 49. Go to the next one. You got a to the 3, a to the 3, right? A to the 3 times a to the 3 give you a to the 6. Next one you'll have it, right? Plus times minus give you minus. Next one you're going to get 9 times 9 give you 81. To get that, you need to get b squared and b squared. Okay? And that's it. But make sure you do step 1 first before you go to step 2. Okay, let's go to example 4. Example 4, you have 50x. So this is on page 312. 50x minus 2x to the 3. So remember what I said, right? You've got to do step 1 first, right? Step 1, common factor. Okay, so you have to factor that. So let's check. Okay, this one, 50 and 2, you can factor the 2. X and x cubed, you can factor the x. Okay, so you can double check to, so this would be 25, right? Again, when you factor means you divide. Right? 50 divided by 2 give you 25. Or you can do this. 2 times 25 give you 50, right? Okay. And minus, the 2 is already gone, and the x cubed, factor the x give you x squared, right? Again, always good idea to check. 2x times 25 give you 50x. 2x times negative x squared give you negative 2x cubed, right? Because this is a negative 2, right? 2 match. X and x squared give you x cubed. Okay. So what you did is you did step 1. That's your common factor. So once you do step 1, you go to step 2. Okay? So step 2. So this is from step 1. So this over here is step 1. Okay? So you're done with the step 1. So now you have to continue with this. See if you can do step 2 for this. So you have, this is a 5 squared minus x squared. So this is a perfect square, right? So you're going to make this to conjugates. Right? So again, so this is your step 1. So you follow it through. Then you have to do step 2. So this is the difference of squares. So you factor into conjugates. So 5 times 5. 5 times 5 give you 25. Plus times minus give you minus. And you have an x and x, right? So x times x give you x squared. And so that's your answer for example 4.